I personally think Sephiroth, if anything, is trying to get 2 black materias, right? Because technically, if there's 2 different worlds, there's 2 Temple of the Ancients, there's 2 black materias that he can gain access to. Maybe. We'll have to see how that works out. What's up, guys? We are back from New York City. We actually went up for Thursday for New York Comic-Con, and I unfortunately did not get to go for the Saturday where a lot of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth news was revealed. We will be talking about that in another video because there are some really awesome things that came out from that we have to talk about, so look forward to that. But in today's video, I want to talk about an article that was brought to my attention from my good friend, the Night Sky Prince. Feel free to check out his channel linked below, as he did his own video on this particular article and broke it down pretty well. But there are some things in this article that I want to talk to you guys with specifically. Crazy times are approaching us. You're going to want to hit that subscribe button and notification bell because I got some exciting stuff coming you guys' way, but I promise it's going to be special. Help raise that 11% even higher. And now with that being said, let's get into the video. This article is from Sportskeeda. They actually were able to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth last week at New York Comic-Con. Well, not New York Comic-Con, but a private location. They were able to go, the media outlets were there playing the game, talking to the directors, talking to people that worked on the game, basically playing through the Nibelheim flashback and the Junon open world demo segment. This article pretty much focuses on interviewing Naoki Hamaguchi, the director of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, talking about his beginnings of where he started, what his goals are, and where they ultimately want to take, or the direction they want to take with Final Fantasy VII Remake's series as a whole. He starts off by saying when he first joined Square Enix, his role was a programmer, but he was very much interested in various aspects of game development and the process behind it. He would often write proposals and work on tests outside of his role as a programmer as well. He also had some background coordinating between internal and external vendors and various projects. And eventually, after doing that for quite some time, he ended up getting a big break with Kitase and the CEO of Square Enix at the time, asking him to work with the FF7 Remake team and Nomura-san to develop the title. He was a co-director for Remake, worked on other Square Enix titles, and now is directing his very own title with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and it's looking pretty damn good so far. And the unique perspective I think that Hamaguchi has is he grew up playing Final Fantasy VII. He's much younger. He wasn't on the development team at the time. He was just a fan like the rest of us and got into game development from early Square Enix games. So he very much knows what it takes to take this legendary series and these iconic characters and story bits and enhance that even further by adding in new elements to sort of enhance the experience for a modern day standard, while also interweaving the newer gameplay elements that a lot of AAA games have these days. And we've seen a lot of that so far in the very awesome Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demos. And he elaborates on that by further saying he really took that into consideration, as they, talking about Kitase and them, have that, unique perspective of looking at this remake series from the eyes of the original creator of the title that they're referring to. And for him, he's coming from a sort of user, player, fan perspective of the original that is now turned into a creator for the remake series. Dreams really do come true, guys. If there's anything to take from this, please do your best at taking shots and striving towards whatever goals it is you want to achieve. Nothing is impossible. Good things will come your way. And now, reading from the interviewer, they stated that one thing that Final Fantasy VII fans noticed early on in FF7 Remake were that there were definitely some changes from the original story. It's something that not everyone has agreed with yet, but that's never going to happen with video game opinions. While speaking with Hamaguchi, he asked if the plan was always to do something fresh with the story, or if there was ever a time when they wanted to do a shot-for-shot remake of the original PlayStation Classic. He would elaborate on this in great detail, from the decisions on how they could possibly improve upon the original game, since there are fewer hardware limits on the PlayStation 5 compared to the original PlayStation. To answer your question of whether we plan to do this shot by shot or change elements early on, between Kitase, Nomura, and Nojima, they were discussing the worldview and concept of what we wanted to approach for this title. And we were saying, no, delivering a retelling of the original story shot by shot with high quality graphics isn't going to deliver what the players of today are expecting with the remakes series. And we definitely believe that players just wanted this new experience, of course, keeping in touch with the new elements that they love within Final Fantasy VII. And we felt that in doing so, the IP can continue to shine and thrive and be much more to love over the next 20 years. And so from early on, that was the approach that they wanted to take. From creators' perspective, there are two main ways in which we can accomplish this, providing players with this new experience within Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. One was how we want to show more of what was originally the creators' intent from the original game, but perhaps we weren't able to show completely because of the technology at the time. Here's an example by saying that we might have seen in the demo within the Nibelheim flashback for Cloud, there is a scene where he acts very unlike himself, almost like, and pretty much speaks in the way that is reminiscent of Zack, and this is what the creators intended for in the original as well. But perhaps that's something that the players didn't actually catch on or realize at the time. But this time we were really able to fully showcase that in detail with expressions as well as voice. He's absolutely right there. In the original game, when I was a kid and we saw the Nibelheim flashback taking place, you could tell that Cloud is in a completely different mood from what we know in the beginning of the game. He's a very different person back then, and obviously it was quite some years before things happened and people change. But it was very noticeable for somebody like me that was about 8 years old playing it with my cousins, and Cloud seems very different here. So thus, there's this new discovery for players in that way, and another way is for something to be expected, but kind of completely subvert the player's expectations by providing something completely new. We kind of want to incorporate both of these kinds of methods or ways in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and so that's something I think is a big draw and something that's really exciting for players. You see this all the time with creators in general, not just like game developers, but anybody in media, any type of music. I mean, Linkin Park fans will see this as well. Over time, creators like to try to do different things, switch up their styles, and they don't want to really keep doing the same thing over and over again. You kind of want to do something new. But when it comes to the developers of Final Fantasy VII Remake's series and the original developers of the original Final Fantasy VII, they opted to spicing things up by adding in more elements, twists, things to keep the veterans on their toes and not really being able to tell exactly what's going to be happening next, and introducing all kinds of different twists. As we know, at the end of Final Fantasy VII Remake, a whole lot of stuff was very different. And going into Rebirth, that continues to keep on building up. We know that Zack, for some reason, is back alive. We don't know what the end goal with that is, but Sephiroth is constantly talking about this in the trailers, saying that he's planning to merge the worlds. I don't know if he is 100% aware of the Zack universe, or Zack essentially being alive in another universe. Maybe he is. Maybe this is intention. I personally think Sephiroth, if anything, is trying to get two black materias, right? Because technically, if there's two different worlds, there's two Temple of the Ancients, there's two black materias that he can gain access to. Maybe. We'll have to see how that works out. But with Zack being alive, it keeps a lot of us talking about what the hell is going on. I mean, you've seen since 2020, channels have been thriving off of theory videos and just dissecting and breaking down this story that we all thought we knew, and now it's completely different, so nobody knows where the hell it's going, and it's just been a lot of fun just speculating and discussing this with you all. Now, Night Sky Prince brought up a really good point. If they change things up for the sake of confusing players along the way, but in the end sort of just do exactly the same thing, it kind of makes the changes feel like, okay, there was no point in that, which I do agree with him on that. And they've been constantly saying the story that we all know and love of Final Fantasy VII will remain the same. It's just the path and things that will be happening will be occurring in different orders, different ways, maybe ultimately in the middle, just introducing new elements. But the very end of the game reaches the same conclusion, which I don't know if that'll be the case. I wonder, with Rebirth, this is definitely a title that when we play it and when we finally beat it, we will see exactly what their direction, what their plans are, and overall what their driving force and overall goal was for this entire remake series. Because they want to reiterate on things that they did in the past that weren't, I guess, explained properly or done in the way that they wanted to because of hardware limitations at the time. So that will be a thing. We'll be seeing all kinds of new stuff being reintroduced in a different way. We've seen stuff like the Fort Condor area is no longer a part of the first continent. It is a separate island. We don't know if we're going to be accessing that later on in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, or is that something that will be coming in a later title for Part 3? We have to wait and see. But rather than just recreating the same game we all know and love with a shot-for-shot recreation, same dialogue, ending exactly in the way that we know it's going to end, this new direction just completely flips everything on its head and provides for a much more interesting discussion and has people talking about it nonstop. Whereas we wouldn't really be doing this, and you know, there'd be no point to any of these videos really, because we know exactly where it's going, right? I know there's still some people in the comments that wish that it was a original shot-for-shot remake of the game, and I totally understand and respect that. But personally, for me, I absolutely love these changes. I love it. I love the direction they've been going in, and that's been apparent with the content since we've been making it in 2020. They also double back and talk about Sid and Vincent, who have been confirmed that they won't be playable, and they give a little bit more of an insight on it. So Hamaguchi straight up confirms that the main characters for this game, we do have Yuffie, Cait Sith, and Red 13. They'll all be playable characters in Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, and on top of that, Cloud, Tifa, Aerith, Barret. That is 7 characters that are fully playable. 7 characters that have about 3 to 4 unique synergy abilities with, depending on which characters are in your party. There's a lot of replayability in this game. I had a lot of replayability with the Final Fantasy 7 Remake, just going through the limited 4-character roster between Aerith, Barret, Tifa, and Cloud. But now that we got 7, and each one of those 7s, well, each 2 have unique abilities, combinations, and just will overall function entirely different and try to aim to do different battle mechanics. This game is going to be a lot more deeper than we ever imagined. And it specifically did this to sort of create that emotional connection with each character. They really want you to have a sense of attachment with each character as they do their combos and their dual techs, essentially. Truthfully, they're called synergy abilities. There's synergy abilities and synergy skills. So holy crap, there's even more than 4 per character. There's probably a good 6 to 8 different unique abilities per combination. Wow. Okay. Mind-blowing. As far as Sid and Vincent, they're going to be kind of involved with Cloud and the party within the main storyline, but they're not going to be playable in battle characters. And as for Zack, which a lot of people have been asking, that you asked about, I will say that he is an extremely vital, important character within this title, which I believe we will be playing as Zack. And of course, he's very important because his world, as it plays out, will basically dictate and showcase to us exactly what Sephiroth's plans are when it comes to merging these 3 worlds technically together. Players of the earlier game often wonder how will Zack play into this game, and as you know, there's going to be differences, but he is very vital and plays a very crucial role. And sort of like telling the stories like within the game is what I can say right now. As for the actual gameplay, I cannot speak on that. So, I mean, that's dev talk for, yeah, I can't talk about that because it is happening. But yo, just chill, bro. I can't talk about it. So that's enough confirmation right there that Zack is absolutely playable. And that pretty much wrapped it up for this. However, they did bring up a really awesome point, I think, where they mentioned that Hamaguchi has worked on Final Fantasy XIII's trilogy, and then he became a project lead for Mobius, the Final Fantasy mobile game that everybody absolutely loved. I didn't get a chance to play it, unfortunately, but I heard really good things about it. And he also worked on Final Fantasy XIV in its earliest days. And one of his favorite titles is Final Fantasy VI, that he played in elementary school. I think they made a very fantastic choice with Hamaguchi being the director of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I think it's a great direction. He's laid the foundation pretty solid. They've gone through and they made the things that a lot of people love Final Fantasy IV come back into the fold, right? Between the mini games, the world exploration, side missions, and just overall impactful humor that just makes you smile from ear to ear. Looking at Red 13 riding the chocobo, even though that is Nomura's handiwork. I honestly think they got the right guy. I honestly think they had the right team, and I can't wait to see what this will lead to, because part 3 has a very solid foundation ahead of it. And if this game is going to end the way that it ends, and it's already open world, which is blowing my mind, part 3, when we get the high wind and we get access of the entire full world from the air, things are gonna get pretty crazy. But man, guys, this is getting really spicy. I'm loving every single bit of coverage. Every single news detail we get coming out of these last couple weeks has been absolutely worth it, and just getting me really excited and anticipating great things coming forward. But I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. What do you all think about this? Let's get a discussion going. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you are new. More Final Fantasy videos are on the way and you don't want to miss them. My name is BltzZ, and thanks for watching.